In this video, I will explain product regulations in Northern Ireland. And as you likely know, Northern Ireland is part of the UK, but it remains aligned with the EU when it comes to product compliance. This goes under the Windsor Framework. So in short, Northern Ireland remains dynamically aligned with EU law relating to the single market of goods. So in a way, Northern Ireland is still within the EU single market and must therefore adhere to certain product regulations and directives. This does not only relate to regulations and directives that existed before Brexit, but also updated and new regulations, at least within this category. So when relevant EU laws are amended or replaced, even by new regulations, then these changes also apply in Northern Ireland. So one example would be the General Product Safety Regulation that, well, previously there was the General Product Safety Directive. That's an EU directive, and that was then adopted by EU member states into national legislation. And as the UK was part of the EU at the time, the GPSD was then adopted into the GPSR 2005. And this regulation continues to apply in Great Britain, meaning England, Wales, and also Scotland. The situation in Northern Ireland is different, and the reason is that the GPSD was replaced in 2024 by the General Product Safety Regulation, or the GPSR. So as this was adopted in the EU, it also applies in Northern Ireland. I understand it is confusing because they have essentially the same name, but these are different regulations. Great Britain has voluntarily decided to retain the GPSR from 2005, which is based on the old directive. So that's something that Great Britain decided to do. It's entirely voluntary. Whereas with Northern Ireland, they remain aligned. And let's say that at some point in the future, the EU would then replace the GPSR, then that would also apply to the Northern Ireland, at least for as long as the Windsor Framework remains in force. This also impacts labeling. So in Great Britain, you can find the UKCA mark, which is a compliance mark essentially. And again, that's England, Wales, and Scotland. Whereas in the EU and Northern Ireland, CE marking is the primary compliance mark. And that being said, the UK has also decided voluntarily again to accept that CE marked products within certain categories are also sold in Great Britain. But don't be confused, it's a very different situation when compared to Northern Ireland, which again remains aligned. When it comes to Great Britain, that's something that, well, it's a completely voluntary decision on their part. Now, to make this even more confusing is another compliance mark that only exists in Northern Ireland, and that's the UKNI mark, very similar, at least in layout, to the UKCA mark. And the UKNI mark, it's only applied to products that require CE marking, or at least for the most part, and in a situation where this product has, well, it requires a conformity assessment by a notified body, and the company has opted to use a UK body. So it's only in this specific scenario where you will see the UKNI mark, which must be combined with the CE mark. And again, this is only for goods sold in Northern Ireland. Other products, in a situation where you're not using a UK body, a UK notified body, or if you follow the self-assessment procedure under Module A, then the CE mark is applied even in Northern Ireland. So in short, if you're selling products in Northern Ireland, then you have to stay up to date with EU regulations and directives.